It looks like the dengue fever fight on Hawaii Island is just about finished. It took about 6 months for the weekly risk map issued by the State Health Department to look like this. It's a welcome image to the Big Island, especially the communities of South Kona, where hotspots for the mosquito-borne disease were identified early on. Ho'okena was the first public beach to be closed in the government response to the outbreak.
Ho'okena Beach Park was closed on Wednesday, and that was because there was a significant amount of evidence to show that that was a common area of maybe visitation by some of those that were either confirmed or known to have possibly been confirmed cases of the dengue fever.
It has since reopened, and things there are returning to normal.
We all survived, we made it, and we go forward and do our best to keep it open. As you can see how beautiful it is now. The Kupa did a lot of work to make it a lot safer now and cleaner, and you can just tell all the bushes and the brush are all taken out, and it's so much better now. So beautiful.
Another remote beach further to the south, Miloli'i, was also closed due to dengue fever. But this past weekend, there was no fear of infection as the community gathered to celebrate the restoration of 2 historic canoes.
Is this water? My ka'i. My ka'i.
In fact, the kahuna who restored the canoes, Bill Rosehill, says he believes he was the last person in Kona to catch the disease.
This was the gutter that came with the original house, and it's...
Between Miloli'i and Ho'okena, residents in the Kona Paradise subdivision are keeping an eye on their environment, using this downtime as an opportunity to mosquito-proof their surroundings.
There's a mosquito-loving place right there.
You can see a lot of water had accumulated there.
So I needed to get a new gutter. I got a new catchment tank.
Things were getting caught here.
Yes.
And there would have been water in here along with this
Yes.
organic material, and they love that organic
Yes.
material too. So this is just perfect for them.
Emily
So
Bess
it's
is the head of research and
Yeah, what's your
development
plan
at
for
SpringStar,
getting rid
a
of-
company that manufactures lethal ovitraps.
There are some nice breeding spots in things like flower pots in her old gutters that she took down. It's important to look at things like lava rock and see if there's any standing water in the pukas that are in the lava rock.
Bess was on the island recently to take a look at some of the areas in South Kona to see how they're doing with mosquito abatement efforts.
So you don't want gaps that the mosquitoes could fly in. But also importantly, if mosquitoes lay eggs up in the gutter, they can get washed into the catchment.
Oh my gosh. They seem to be they love all this shady vegetation that's everywhere here. I've put out traps from the SpringStar company, so I have probably about 8 or 9 traps. And I've just walked around looking for just the hidden breeding sites I've found in odd different places that didn't even occur to me as possible sites. I did have the gutters replaced so that we don't have any of those junctions and leaking points and collection points for mosquitoes to breed in.
One of the busiest community groups has been the Hawaii Dengue Fever Awareness Facebook group.
I would first like to just thank Barbara, Krista, and Karen for coming here today and for all the work that you are doing.
Group administrators recently went before the county council to accept funds for mosquito traps.
My kuleana in this is to make sure that people get these traps who can't afford even the discounted traps.
Their efforts have paid off in certain South Kona locations, like at the Palayaku Gardens Peace Sanctuary, which they say remains mosquito-free.
Yeah, well, first off, we spray with garlic barrier. We do that every 2 weeks. And we use 100% pure garlic barrier. We also use SpringStar traps, mosquito traps. We use mosquito bits in all the bromeliads. And we use Talstar, which is a pyrethrum-based spray for mosquitoes also. I've also introduced recently what they call as a Dynatrap. It's an electrical trap that attracts the mosquitoes and kills them. And I've removed 2/3 of my bromeliads. They're a beautiful plant, but they hold water. So now I'm particularly careful to put mosquito bits or to treat it with soapy water to make sure that we don't have a breeding ground for mosquitoes. We didn't have a lot of mosquitoes, but we did have mosquitoes. And I'm happy to say we don't have any anymore.
One thing that has helped Kona escape the dengue outbreak is a severe drought. not good for mosquitoes. Yet the emergency declaration remains in place for now, both for the county and the state, in part because the mosquitoes that carry dengue fever are the same that can carry the dreaded Zika virus. Zika is on the radar in Washington, D.C. Here's Hawaii United States Senator Brian Schatz on the floor at the Capitol.
We have to act now to fund the administration's request of $1.9 billion in supplemental funding. Zika is a disease carried by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, a vector that has already caused a dengue fever epidemic in my state of Hawaii. The Aedes mosquito are in more places than we had previously thought throughout the United States. Zika is the first mosquito-borne illness to be associated with a congenital birth defect. And there have not yet been any locally transmitted cases of Zika in the continental United States. We do have hundreds of travel-related cases and up to 500 cases of active transmission in Puerto Rico, American Samoa, and the United States Virgin Islands. And as I mentioned, Hawaii is recovering from a dengue epidemic. And so we must provide emergency funding for mosquito-borne illnesses, and we must do it now. This is an emergency.